Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment breakdown on the 2024 Honda Civic and its 9-inch upgraded infotainment display. In this video, we're going to take a look at how the gauge cluster works, take a look at how the center touchscreen works, and test out Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and the navigation, show you how to pair up a phone, and just overall take a look at how the system operates here on the Civic. Now, I will point out that this, technically speaking, is not a 2024 Honda Civic. This is a 22. This is actually the newest one that Honda has in the fleet right now with the manual transmission. I wanted to drive this one and kind of see how it's held up over 10,000 miles, but Honda has changed nothing in 2023 or 2024 for the Civic, so this video will apply to any of those model years. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. In the Sonic Gray Pearl, the same Civic Sport Touring hatchback that we've come to love for a long time. In fact, this was Daily Motor's 2021 Car of the Year. And whether it's SI, Type R, Sport Touring manual like this, or just a basic CVT, we've liked all the Civics we've driven. In fact, the only one I have not driven is the base 2-liter naturally aspirated engine. So hopefully I can get my hands on one of those soon. But if you do want to see more on the Civic in general, check the link below. We've got videos on tons of Civics. Starting off in front of us, we've got a gauge cluster screen that is fully digital, aside from a temperature, coolant temp readout on the left, and then a fuel gauge on the right, and a few different indicators. The rest of the screen is all that. It is all a screen. It's not like some of the other Hondas where you get half of a real analog gauge and then half of a screen. You control the screen with these rollers and buttons on the steering wheel. For the left section, you use the left side of the wheel, and the right section, you use the right side of the wheel. Scrolling through on the left side gives you audio inputs only. That's the only thing you can do with the screen. I think it's kind of silly to dedicate a whole section of the gauge cluster just to which audio input you're listening to, but maybe they found that people love having their kind of audio readouts there. So if I click Android Auto, it shows me what I'm listening to, and I can toggle through the tracks with these right and left buttons and then adjust my volume there. I can click the button and go up to, actually I just scroll to get to different inputs. I could switch to something like FM or Sirius XM radio here. And I guess I am a little bit misleading. You can access your phone settings here too and call your recent calls or favorite contacts right from there. In the middle of the screen, you've got a big digital readout for speed. I like that Honda's been including that on a lot of their cars. You've got temperature down. You've got temperature down on the bottom left, a little clock in the middle of that left side as well as your tachometer going around the center or the left side gauge there. And then on the right side gauge, you've got an analog layout for speed, and controlled with this right side of the wheel, you get to a lot of different information about your car. So you can see we've got range, average fuel economy, current fuel economy readout in a meter there, and then a tripometer there. You got trip B, and press this to get to trip A. Scrolling down gives you average speed, elapsed time since you've reset the trip meter. And then below that, you've got a little navigational compass. Below that, a driver attention meter. So if you're driving for a long time and you seem drowsy, you're maybe swerving around, then the car might tell you that it's time to take a break. Below that, you've got seatbelt readouts, so it'll tell you which seatbelts are connected around the car. Below that, maintenance, so you see we've got 60% oil life left. Below that, safety support systems. We can click on that and turn on or off our road departure mitigation warning, blind spot information systems, low speed braking controls, and collision mitigation braking. Scrolling down some more, you have the ability to customize the display. If we click on that, we can adjust the design of the gauges. You've got round gauges here. You can also switch to a bar setup. That's kind of fun. Looks a little bit more, I guess I'll say modern, a little less traditional. Round minimal. Gauges will hide when the cruise control is active. That's kind of nice. And then you can also do bar minimal. So probably same sort of thing. Those bars will disappear when you're cruising on the highway with cruise control set. That's kind of fun. I'm glad that they at least gave you some reason to have this digital screen and kind of customize it, make it look a little unique. You can also choose which menus you'd like to be hidden or shown. So say, for example, you're never going to use that driver attention monitor. You can uncheck that, and then you'll never have to scroll by it. Going back to the main screen, you can scroll down further and just get to a no content screen. So if you want a little less information overload, you let that go away, and then it just gives you a little needle looking thing there for the analog gauge. And then we're back to our range and fuel and tripometer. Moving into the center screen, as I said, this is the upgraded 9-inch screen model. We've got navigation as an option here. It gives you sort of a persistent menu up at the top that has a quick toggle for getting to your different audio sources, as well as the now playing screen, a clock up on the top right, and some information about about the phone that's connected, battery and Bluetooth, and how the phone is connected. And then on the bottom, you've got a persistent menu for essentially getting to different applications used regularly. And if I believe, you can customize, frequently used apps can be placed here as shortcuts. So say, for example, you wanted to be able to get to Sirius XM all the time very quickly, you could swap that out for FM. And then down there, you've got Sirius XM readout instead of FM. You can get to it easily. The system is a touchscreen, but you've also got a few physical buttons over here, which is nice. What was that? Oh, did I just honk the horn? That's a very sensitive horn. Oof, okay. Scared me. Got a physical home button right here. It's nice to be able to quickly get back to the home screen. Below that, back, going back to the previous menu. Physical volume control, always nice to have that, and physical track selection buttons as well. Starting in the top left of this app screen, you see an All Apps option, and this will give you an alphabetical layout of every application that's installed on the car. Probably not going to go through all of those, but sometimes people like to be able to get to their apps that way. Going back to home using the physical button, you've got navigation. And admittedly, I haven't used the navigation system at all on this car because I simply plug my device in and use Android Auto and Google Maps to navigate. But some people like having traditional navigation, or some people just at least like having a map on here. It's an okay mapping system. You do see some live traffic there. You can pinch to zoom, but there is quite a bit of lag there. You can move it around as well, but again, not super great refresh rate. Coming back to home, you have your phone screen. This is how you're going to make calls. If you wanted to dial in a number, you can see your recent calls up there and your favorited contacts and all of your contacts you can get through. And if you wanted to call somebody, you could either use voice control, which we'll show you later, or you could click on a contact and make the call. FM radio, pretty straightforward. You do have HD radio support in here, and you've got favorites down below. So if I wanted a quick tune to one of my presets, there you go. And you can directly tune in and scan and even get a station list, which is nice. Back to home. Going down, Bluetooth audio. That's how you're going to stream Bluetooth audio. We'll skip over Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for now. You do have a trip computer screen. This can be kind of nice for seeing your average fuel economy for the current drive, as well as your trip A and trip B, how far you've traveled and what sort of fuel economy you've gotten. Moving on, here's Sirius XM. Again, a lot of information there, but it's showing you your presets as well as the ability to manually change through channels. You also have your sound settings up on the top right when you're on an audio source. You can click that and get to your bass and treble adjustments right there, as well as the ability to turn on and off Bose center point and change through your different audio focuses. Back to home, and then sliding over, we've got general settings. We're not going to go through every single setting of the car, but we'll go through anything that is important. Under system, you have the ability to change your date and time. You can also get to that from any menu by just pressing on the clock right there. Actually, that's going to give you a full analog, kind of pretty clock display right here first, but then up here in settings, you get right to your date and time settings, as well as the ability to change the clock faces back there. It's kind of nice. Getting back to that general settings menu, under system, you can change to 3 different languages, English, Spanish, and French for both the meter up here and then the center display. I don't know why you'd want to have different languages there, but it is an option. Touch panel sensitivity. If you're wearing gloves, you might want to have this on high. That's going to make it easier to get around the system without having to touch so aggressively. System volumes, if you want your voice navigation to be louder or softer, or for your phone calls, or perhaps, can we adjust the beep sound? Yeah, you turn off the beep sound right there by moving that system sounds all the way down. Some people are going to appreciate that, but I don't mind a subtle beep. Refuel recommend. That's kind of a nice feature. It's good to get a notification if you're getting low on fuel. Have that there. Factory data reset. If you go to sell your Civic, you're going to want to use that to clear out all of the information that the car has saved on you. Going back and down to smartphone connection, that's how you're going to pair up or change settings for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. We'll get to that later on. Connections as well, that's showing us our Bluetooth connections that we have saved right now, as well as Wi-Fi connections. So you can set up a Wi-Fi connection for the car here to get updates for the system. Moving down to display settings, this is how you're going to adjust the brightness of the center display here, as well as contrast levels and black levels. If you want to adjust brightness for the center display, you use the scroller knob over on the side. I appreciate that the Civic still gives you a physical way to do that. In the Accord and the CR-V, you actually have to do it through the controls here on the steering wheel. Back to the center, we have another way to get to our sound settings. Under camera, below that, you have the ability to change some settings for the rear camera, as well as turn on or off your rear cross traffic monitor when traffic's coming across your way while you're backing out. And lastly, some voice control settings. You can change the modes from normal to assist. If you have normal, a list of commands is displayed quickly for your desired function, but with assist mode on, a list of basic commands is displayed to guide you step by step through your voice menu. So maybe if you first purchase the vehicle, you might want assist mode to be on to help you through the voice commands, but once you get used to how to use it, you can switch over to normal. Heading back out of general settings and over to vehicle settings on the main screen, we have TPMS calibration. So if you wanted to run your tire pressures at a different setting other than normal, or if you bought some new TPMS sensors, you could calibrate them there. Driver assist system setup. There's a lot of different settings here for how you want all the safety setups to work here in the Civic. So if anything's bothering you, like beeps or alerts or something, go through all of those settings and familiarize yourself with them. Meter setup, you can adjust some settings for the center gauge cluster here, including you can actually offset your outside temperature reading. I've never seen that before. I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Trip A reset timing. You can have it so that one of the trips resets manually when you either restart the vehicle or refuel the vehicle. This could be helpful if you're somebody who's tracking mileage every time you drive. Maybe you want it to start having a fresh trip each time you start up the car. That's nice. Fuel efficiency backlight. Okay, so this kind of glows green if you're driving efficiently around the gauge cluster. If you want that off, you can disable that there. You can also change your speed and distance units here if you want to go to kilometers per hour. And the rear seat reminder. This car comes default to notify you if you may have left something in the back of the car, whether that be an item or a person. You can have that turned off if you're somebody who gets annoyed by that. Keyless access setup. So these are your different settings for if you want the car to beep or flash or honk at you when you lock or unlock the car, and also when you press the unlock button on the key, do you want just the driver door to unlock or all of the doors? Under lighting setup, you can turn on or off your automatic high beam. Some people get frustrated by that. They might want to have that off. And you can also change how long your lights stay on after you exit the vehicle and lock it. You can also adjust the settings, the sensitivity for your auto lights in general. So some people like the lights to turn on more quickly when they're kind of driving and it starts to get dark outside, and some people would prefer for the lights to wait until it gets a little darker outside. And if you want the automatic headlights to come on when you turn your wipers on, that's a nice setting to have right there. Under door and window setup, you can have your doors automatically lock once you get driving and then automatically unlock when you come to a stop. Walk away auto lock. This is a feature that a lot of people like to have. So if you walk away with the key in your pocket, the car will automatically lock behind you. A lot of newer cars are having that, and that's a feature that I like to have, but some people don't want that. Remote window control. This is also nice. The keyless remote can be used to roll down all the windows by pressing the unlock, and then within 10 seconds, pressing and holding the unlock button a second time. So you essentially you press unlock and then press it and hold it again, and the windows will roll down. It's a nice feature to have to cool your car off. Lastly, under vehicle settings, we've got maintenance info. That's going to tell you that right here, you got 60% left to change your engine oil and your brake fluid, but you can reset those from there. Next on our vehicle home screen, we see a USB menu. That's going to be to access USB audio if you had a USB stick plugged in there. Same with AM. That's how you'd access your AM radio. System updates, you'd select this if you were connected to Wi-Fi and you wanted to see if you had any updates available. This is, again, another way to access that clock screen. Honda Link, so if you're paired up with the Honda Link app on your phone, this is going to be how you're going to be able to access and set up that system there. Smart shortcuts, this is how the car actually learns what you like to do with the system and suggests shortcuts and recommendations down here based on the applications you use regularly. The car sort of learns over time what you like to do and will switch out shortcuts for you. It's kind of nice. And our last application here is display mode. If you want to change this from day to night or simply turn the screen right off, it's a quick way to get to that there, and then turn it back on with the home button. All right, let's take a quick look at voice commands. So you can access voice commands right here with this button. You can click and hold this to access Siri or Google Assistant if you have your phone paired up via Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. But if you just press it once, you get the Civic's built-in voice assistant, which is pretty basic, but it can do some basic commands for you, such as navigate to Starbucks.
Searching for Starbucks. Select a line number.
1.
Starbucks. Would you like to start navigation?
Yes. That actually worked really quickly. I was impressed by that. Cancel navigation.
Stopping route.
I don't think it can do more advanced things like temperature, though. Let's see. Set the temperature to 61 degrees.
Please say again.
Set the driver temperature to 61 degrees.
Please say again.
Yeah. Okay, so that's not going to be a go for us. But voice controls do work. They're pretty simple, and like I said, a lot of people are just going to be pressing and holding it and using their smart device. So let's take a look now at Android Auto. We've already got our device paired up via the cable, but you can totally use it wirelessly as well. You've even got a wireless device charger. It works for both Androids and Apple. Coming up here, it takes up the entire display. Not the highest resolution, but it looks pretty good, and refresh rate is all right. This is what your home screen looks like, and you've got your apps down here and your app screen menu there. Scrolling through, you can see our different installed apps. Let's take a look at how Google Maps looks. Of course, you can use these buttons to zoom, or you can pinch and zoom and move yourself around. Again, pretty good responsiveness and refresh. Taking a look at YouTube Music. That's what your now playing screen is going to look like. And when we bring it back home, you can see it's kind of split screen, 2/3, 1/3 for maps and music. All right, let's show you how to pair up a phone. Now, the easiest way to do it is if you have a cable, just simply plug in your cable and then it'll auto pair your phone for you. So that's how I would recommend doing it. You only need to do it once with the cable, and then after that, you'll be paired up wirelessly. But if you don't have a cable on you, you want to see how to do it via simply using Bluetooth. Oh, now you can see my Android Auto device, even though I unplugged it, is now reconnected to the car wirelessly. So it's really nice that it automatically sets that up for you. But we're going to go back to our home screen and go to, it's the quickest way to do this, probably scroll over to General Settings and then Connections, Bluetooth, and Connect New Device. We're going to disconnect the current device, yes. And then on our iPhone, we're going to go to the settings screen and down to Bluetooth. And we wait a sec for other devices for the Civic to pop up. And there it is, Honda Civic. Click on it and essentially accept and pair any pop-ups that come up on either device. Allow, Apple CarPlay, connect. Yes, I'd like to enable Apple CarPlay. And on my phone, use CarPlay. And there it is, Apple CarPlay coming up. Oh, Honda Link Assist. Yes, we do want to enable that. If you had an emergency, it would call emergency services using your phone. There we go, Apple CarPlay coming up. Now, unfortunately, this device is not connected to data at the moment, so I'm not, maybe not going to be able to show you navigation. It's unfortunate. I thought maybe the navigation would already be loaded up. But navigation would be right here, kind of taking up this half screen, and then the other half your media. Let's see if I can bring up YouTube Music to show you how that'd look. There you go. You've got your frequently used apps there on the left, as well as information on your battery and signal. That's how music's going to look playing right there. Take it back home, and you can see music on the right, and then mapping over here on the left. Maybe we can bring up Apple Maps. Let's see. Nope. All right, I'm bringing it back home. So there you go, the 9-inch touchscreen here on the Honda Civic. It works well. Honestly, for this price point, it is one of my favorite systems. My only gripe is that the phones take a long time to connect. It seems to be that way with all Honda vehicles. The phones take a long time to connect to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto after you start the vehicle. But let me know if you have any questions, things I can try to help answer retroactively here. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.